All right. Hi. So sorry, I'm 2 minutes late. Technical glitch. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Yes,
we can get you.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen and then we will start. Okay, here's to hoping you can see my screen. So we continue our conversation from where we left off. We want to see if we can quickly get lecture series number 13 out of the way, hopefully before the end of the week. I think we should be able to do that. But before we continue, I just wanted to kind of just a few announcements, right? The usual. So I thought I was actually shocked when I looked at results for quiz number 9, but I suppose I'm used now anyway, doesn't matter. So this is a snapshot, right, in terms of the performance. Not so good, but a slight improvement certainly from the picture, the gloomy picture we had in quiz number 8, right, where we only had 19 people pass. Which was about what, 27%. Somewhat better. It's almost. We are almost getting 50% of the class passing quiz number 9, just shy of 2.7%, right? But that's fine anyway. Still worried about the people that are getting D's and D pluses. Have no idea what's happening here. I can only speculate. You are not studying, right? At least that's the impression I get. You're not taking this very seriously. But good luck with that. And then if you look at the distribution, I mean, again, somewhat better than last time. Last time we had a substantial number of people that found themselves somewhere here, right? You notice that there's a slight shift here towards the middle, which is a good sign, I guess. That's because about 50%, almost 50% of the class passed the quiz. And then again, if you want to reach out to specific individuals in class that are doing relatively well, consistently or in specific topics, because if you've noticed, the quizzes are really clustered into topics, right? So if you're finding a particular topic hard, these leaderboards that we continuously share are meant to enable you identify individuals that, and this is supposed to be quiz number 9 here, individuals that you can reach out to for help, right? Your colleagues. And then a reminder that we have a quiz on Friday. So quiz number, you must have gotten an email. It's quiz number 10. Quiz number 10 is based on lecture series number 12, I think. So brace yourselves. I would prepare if I were you. So same drill, the quiz is going to be open at 10 because we have class at, is it 8 or something? And then it closes at 10 the following day. I've had a number of people reach out to complain about devices. And what I've noticed, right, to complain about devices, and I don't know if it's interrupted, power supply interruption and whatnot. And what I've noticed is the people that are consistently sending those requests for makeups are the people that are not attending class. The people that are not playing back the recorded sessions. That is a classic case of negligence, and negligence is not a reason to use for you to request for a makeup. You know, well, I've had, I think, about 2 characters who just suddenly realize that we've covered quite a bit, and they're sending out emails to request for a makeup, right? Oh no, I didn't have access to a computer. I only realized that I can only use a computer for me to access my Gmail. And I'm responding to this person, and I'm telling him to say, this there is the problem. You have clearly not been actively participating in the course, because we mentioned many, many months ago, was it March or April or something, the procedure you have to follow for you to configure a mobile device, if you're using a mobile device, so that you automatically receive your emails via the institution assigned email address, right? If I were you, take this very seriously, right? We are crossing the half, is it the half mark of the planned number of quizzes we're going to be writing? So if you've been neglecting to write the assessments, thinking that you're going to suddenly just request for a makeup and the makeup will be given to you, you're gravely mistaken. There will be no such thing, right? Anyway, so we have a quiz on Friday. Please prepare, right? I don't think our discussion of our organization and file systems was complex per se, so it should be relatively easy. I mean, the usual stuff we looked at, like file operations, file systems, file managers, trivial stuff we looked at, right? Anyways, and then there was a concern about the grading, how the grading was done, right? And people reaching out, I think the class rep was one of those who reached out, say, the marking was a bit confusing. Well, it turns out that you're penalized for guesswork, right? So if you behaved like this particular screenshot here, you notice that this person here, they got 2 out of, is it 6 or something, right? Well, they got two answers correct out of the 6. But what you notice is that from the and by the way, the feedback that you get, so the portion that's in orange here, I don't know if this is orange or something, will tell you exactly how the grading was done, right? You should have access to this feedback. So you notice that even though this person got these 2 answers correct, but he got a 0 because he was guessing, and we know that this person was guessing because we can check the trail, right? This person begins the attempt at 22:58, right? What does he do next? And there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, if you want to guess, you can guess, right? But you're penalized. That check feature, it's experimental, I guess we'll revert back to the usual deferred mode instead of the adaptive mode, right? Of configuring the quiz. But you notice that this person was clearly guessing, right? So they start the question. Step number 2, what do? They realize that they get it wrong, and then they continue guessing, right? And you notice that there's a lag here. 5 minutes later, they're still guessing. 5 minutes later, they come back to the question. They were probably referring to the notes, and that's fine, right? We've tagged these as open book assessments. That's fine. So they guess, they get it partially correct. They continue guessing, right? They guess for, is it 5 times? And then they finally submit their solution, and they get only 2 out of the 6 questions correct. And they send an email to complain that, no, why were my marks deducted? Well, your marks were deducted because we are guessing, right? Okay, so I hope that kind of clears the air, right? I think there were a number of people that were concerned. Some of you guys reached out to us privately, right? Some of you sent out your queries via the mailing list, which is good, but now you know where this is coming from. If you need further clarification, please do reach out to me, and I'll give you a breakdown of how exactly your score was computed, how it ended up that you, instead of getting, in this case, this person was probably supposed to get, is it a 1 out of 6? Because each of these items was worth half a mark, right? Instead of getting a 1, they got a 0 because the guessing offset everything, right? So in this case, they guessed 3 times. That's 33.33%. So times 3, that gives you like 100 or something, which is 1 mark. It offsets everything that you got. Unless if there are any concerns or questions with regards to this. Yep.
For the last question of the quiz, I wouldn't say I guessed, but I got everything correct, but I still got 1.5 out of 2.
1.5 out of 2. Yeah, so here's the thing. Which last question are you referring to here? So the questions are normally randomized. So let's see if we can get to the quiz. See if we can get to the quiz here. Nope, this is for Friday. Let's see if we can get for the quiz for, there we go. I guess I'll just start the attempt here. Which particular question exactly was it? Just tell me to pause. Is it this one? These things are normally randomized. What was the question about? I don't know if the person.
No, it's not that one.
Do you remember the question?
There were 2 questions out of 2.
Oh, 2 questions out of 2. So it's certainly not this one, right?
No.
Okay. Maybe it's the last one then. Is it this?
Yes, this one.
Okay. So you're saying you got what?
I got 1.5 out of 2.
Yeah. So the reason is, you see, I don't know if you've gotten this. You've checked the what do you call this? And I was going to look up your thing here, but I don't want people to see your score, right? But probably the reason you got 2 is because if you look at this question here, this was a fish decode, which was from the decode stage. It's likely the case that you missed out one of the. Let me just pull out your. I'm just going to disconnect this for now, just so I can pull out. Who was asking this question, by the way? Sorry, didn't see who.
It was me, Kapala.
Okay, Kapala, right. I'll stop sharing my screen so that I can look up Kapala's quickly. I mean, it might just be the case that we made a mistake. And you should, by the way, develop a habit of reaching out and asking, right? There's an implicit query session that is automatically open the moment the grading is done, right? So you reach out to us, and if you feel something was not done the way it was supposed to be done, you tell us, and then we'll fix it. Like we did for, is it Mlenga or something, right? So he reached out to us, and we noticed that there was a bit of an issue with quiz number 8. He provided his solution in bytes, but the Moodle solution was in megabytes. And it turns out that the way we were configuring the Moodle to accept certain solutions left out the correct solution represented in bytes, right? So we're able to fix that because he reached out, or she reached, I don't know if there's a she or he, but because they reached out to us, right? So please, you must develop a habit of reaching out to us if you have a query, right? Just see if you can find. Yeah, but you left out one component, which is why you lost the market. Is it? I think so. Anyway, but can I ask that you just we don't want to waste time here. I'm looking at the time. Can I ask that you just send me mail about this, and then I'll be able to look this up and then explain to you exactly how this was done.
All right.
There was a bit of guesswork, but on your part as well. So I see there's about 4 steps, right? But so just reach out to me, and then we can chat about this later.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
There's a question. Was it question 1? I'd like to think. Yeah. The question was about choosing the order from 1 to 6, slowest to fastest, or fastest. Yeah. When I opened the options for me to choose the numbers from 1 to 6, I only had 4 options. Not that I was going to get it correct or wrong, because I actually got it wrong, so it doesn't matter. But just in case I was going to get it correct, like on another day, it only gave me 4 options. So maybe you can look into that next time you create something.
Well, so I responded to your email. I don't know if you've been following through with the thread, right? I responded to your email. I saw that email and I responded to it. I guess those that have checked their emails in the last couple of hours must have noticed that I responded to that email. And my response was that, I think I responded to your email. My response was that there are 3 components that are more or less like at the same level, right? They're all registers. So the MBR, the MAR, and the program counter, those are all registers, so the speed is the same. I guess this is what Kennedy would say it was a trick question or something, but it wasn't really a trick question. It was meant to see if you could figure out that those 3 components are the same, right? So if you say registers are allocated a value of 1, then you have 3 ones, right? I don't know. Yeah. I think the scale could have just been just as well, say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 20, right? It's just to try and see if you can you are in a position where you're able to ascribe or map the throughputs, the relative throughputs associated with the different memory components, depending on how further away they are from the CPU or where they're located or something, or which technology is used to manufacture them. But I did respond to that. I think you probably want to check your emails. Again, if you read through the email and it's not very clear, please just reach out to me, and then we can have a chat about that. I'm not sure if, let me just check here. Maybe I didn't send that email, but I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I did. Was this Master Tembo asking the question or something? What was this? What was asking?
Peter Tembo.
Yeah, yeah. I think I must have responded to. There we go. I think it's. Oh, and I see you. Yeah, so it's yeah. There we go. So 5 and 6 were not applicable. So MBRs, MARs. I don't know if you. This was sent around 13, so about 3 hours ago, and there was an explanation to. Yeah. Just look at your own time. You want to look at this, and then if you still unhappy, or if you think there's something that doesn't still make sense, just get back to me, and then we can chat. And by the way, I deliberately, I know you sent this to me, but I thought the others would benefit from this, because I'm pretty sure there are some people that were still confused about this also. So, yeah. Any other questions or concerns?
So I have a question on the question that was related to associating memory components with the sizes. I want to know the reason why virtual memory could not be associated with 11 approximately 12 GB after you do the conversion from the terabyte that the figures were given. Like why wouldn't
because
we?
Yeah, sorry, finish your question.
Yes, I was saying that why wouldn't we associate it with that amount of size, and the same goes for RAM. Like why wouldn't we associate it with 2048 megabytes, which is equivalent to 2 GB?
No, I mean, I'd have to check the question to see exactly how this was done. I might have thingy, but the thing is, by the way, that question came from this computer that Lighton uses, right? So if you look at oh, come on, it is. If you look at the cache sizes I was using, they're pretty much here. And really, the only trick to that question was that the units were altered slightly, right? So most of the thinking was supposed to go towards you harmonizing the different units. So the reason why you can't associate, I don't know what, let me just go to the question here. I think it'll be a lot easier for us to explain. I guess this is turning into a query session, which is fine as well. I guess it would be a lot easier if we look at the question. I hope I'm sharing my screen. I am sharing my screen. Just edit this and try and preview the questions from here. Which question was that? Is this not this? Certainly not this. Definitely not this. Hopefully this. Is this what you're talking about? Yeah, so what was your question?
Oh yes, my question was for the one having the 0.something terabytes. After I did the conversion, I was like converting them to gigabytes and megabytes to see what makes sense. The 11 GB, it was about 11 point something GB that I got. That to me seemed like it can be associated with virtual memory. But
okay,
and the 2048 megabytes, that made sense for me to associate it with RAM. So the question is, why is it the opposite?
Let's see here. Give me a second. So here's the thing, right? Think about this for a second. If you remember what we talked about, if we're saying these are the different, let's start, and this is a good question, by the way. Let's do this, right? Let's dumb this down to slightly more manageable sizes, right? And actually, let's start with the highest ones, which is the last two. If you look at the first one, you're saying you converted this and you discovered that it was 12 GB, right? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if this is 12 GB and you have this other size here, this other memory component, which is, how large is this? If we were to convert this to GB?
That is 2 GB.
GB.
Okay, 2 GB, right? Good stuff. So if this is 2 GB and this is 12 GB, I have a question for you. If we have 12 GB and we have 2 GB, would you say it makes sense? And I know there's some smart people that got this right. Would you say it makes sense that this is virtual memory and this is RAM? Which one would be RAM here?
The RAM would definitely be 12 GB.
Exactly, because technically speaking, you use virtual memory to complement what already exists. Do you understand?
It wouldn't make sense to have 12 GB of virtual memory with 2 GB of RAM. That wouldn't make sense.
No, it wouldn't. And then, so the other stuff here that comes up, I mean, it's pretty obvious, right? You know that these smaller memory components are usually, obviously, either registers or I guess BCS is like a machine that uses 64-bit size registers, right? So all you had to do was just harmonize these, and then you rank them in order of sizes. And in fact, if you were smart enough, you're probably just going to refer to this thing here. Yes. Yes, because essentially the question was actually centered around this, right? I don't know. You just come up with a hierarchy. Hope that makes sense. Are there any other questions?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Do we have to go back to RAM in the decoding stage?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. What is the sequence of events when you're in the decode stage? All you had to do was refer to, yeah, and the answer is yes, obviously. All you had to do was remind yourself, and you had access to these things here, right? You had access, and I know people are probably referring to these notes here. All you had to do was go here, and I can't remember which, was it 6? Must have been 6. Must have been 6, I guess, or maybe 7. 7, I guess. Oh. The people that perhaps thought that they had enough time probably went to series number 7. If I were you, I'll just go down to, not read all the lecture series, just go down to the illustrations that we had where we were doing a walkthrough of what typically happens in the decode stage, right? What happens in the decode stage? Boom, right? Load instruction at memory location that, so you notice that there's memory being the main memory is being referenced here, right? Well, that's all you had to do, just go here. So yes, the answer is yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, you probably want to, so for those of you that are still a bit confused with by the way, I don't know if we are on the same page here. It's a pause for a little while here. It turns out that the question that Paul is talking about here, I don't know if it's Paul, but Master Sifuku is talking about here, is to do with, there's a question that was asking which memory components are involved during the decode stage. Now, for you to be able to correctly answer that question, you would have to remember exactly, well, remember the sequence of events. I don't know if it's this one. This is, yeah. Remember the sequence of events when an instruction is being decoded. Remember, I have fetch, decode, execute. So the question is what exactly happens, which components are involved during the decode phase or stage of the machine cycle, right? And then you probably get this right. Now, for me, right? For me, my major concern was that there were people that were choosing things like arithmetic logic unit and control unit. Really, are these memory components? We had a discussion about this. For me, when I was looking at those things, for me, that was a clear sign that either someone is not just following through with the course, or maybe they missed that class, or maybe, I don't know, they're just not reading, right? They're just not reading, which is worrying, really. If you remember, we've mentioned in the past that most of these things that we are doing are interconnected, right? So for you to be able to understand the things that we are going to talk about in, let's say, lecture series number 15 or 17, you have to familiarize yourself with some of the things that we've already discussed. Now, granted, there are certain topics that can be studied in isolation, or that we look at in isolation, like when you start looking at number systems, for instance, you pretty much look at those things in isolation, right? But once we start the computer architecture component of the course, you realize that we'll be piggybacking on some of these things we've discussed in the past. And this right here is a classic example of how we latch on to what we discussed in the past, right? We discussed the fetch, decode, execute cycle. We introduced this whole notion of registers. And then during our discussion of computer memory overview and primary memory, we highlighted the fact that in fact, registers are a form of primary memory, right? And if you look at this pyramid that we picked from Wikipedia, exactly, you will notice that registers are on the top of the hierarchy, right? Reason is simple. They operate at more or less the same speed for the most part as the CPU, right? They're right here on the top of the food chain, right? Processor registers. Right, so you must study this, you must remember this. You can't wing this course, unfortunately, right? It's possible for, I'm guessing there are some courses that you're doing that you can easily, I mean, you can neglect attending classes and not read, and all you have to do is, when you're told we're writing a test next week, in fact, when you're told we're writing a test tomorrow, all you do is you spend the whole night, right? You red-eyed the following day, reading, you'll probably be able to get reasonable marks, right? That's not the case for this course. You must understand, unfortunately, or actually fortunately, right? If I were you, I would remind myself of this. Yeah, this is turning into a query. We might as well just turn this into a query session, I guess. Are there any, looking at the time, because I am going to cut this short until 17:45 because I have another class. So looking at the time, we might as well just turn this into a query session. Are there any other random concerns that you might have, clarifications that you need with regards to the test?
Yes, sir.
Something uncomfortable about, yes.
I have a question concerning the feature option. Like, does it affect where your grade will be where your quiz will be graded if you keep on exhausting it?
Which feature is that?
A check.
What? Checking is like you're rigging, right? You understand what you're guessing, actually. That's what the check feature.
What of the illustrations whereby, like what happened last time, whereby you answer the quiz, then you submit it, then you later find out that it wasn't actually submitted. So you have to go back again to check everything.
Now, I'm confused. Do you want to further explain what you're saying?
I'm saying, like, you start attempting the quiz, then you answer it, then you check it, then you go to the next quiz, and so forth. So when you reach to the end of the quiz, and then you go back because you don't want to have the same mistake that happened to the previous quiz, where your quiz wasn't submitted, because rumor has it that if you don't check, then your answers won't be submitted.
No, that rumor is false. I don't know who's spreading that rumor. Thank you for calling it out for what it is. It's a rumor. It is false. I don't know who started it.
Sir,
They are liars, right? The check feature is
Sir.
not there for you to check if you can. Can I finish first? The check feature is not there for you to confirm if you've managed to submit your assessment. The check feature is there for you to check if the solution that you have provided is correct. What you do when you're attempting this quiz, right? Observe. And I'll guess what you do when you're attempting a quiz, for you to confirm that you've actually submitted the quiz, all you have to do is go through the workflow, right? So this is Lighton, he starts the attempt. I'll just say next page, next page, next page. And I know the thing it's probably different when you're using a mobile device, but the idea is the same. Just go next page, next page. If you get to the end and you still have a bit of time, like I do right now, this is like 24 minutes and Susan's mistake was supposed to be 20 minutes, right? I can go back using the cards here, the breadcrumbs, and just confirm the answer and say, oh, I didn't answer this, and then I'll answer this, right? But here's the thing. Once you get to the end, for you to confirm that you finish, you do two things. It's a two-step process. You click on the finish attempt, and then you click on the submit all and finish. Because it turns out when you click on finish attempt, you have not submitted this solution. You still need to confirm. At this point, when you say finish, you can return to the attempt like I have done right now, right? And still go to these different questions if you still have time, and then you go to the end and you're comfortable, say, okay, it's fine, I'll finish attempt. And then you click on submit all and finish. And then it will ask you for the final confirmation. You see the text that comes up here. Once you submit, you will no longer be able to change your answers for this attempt. And then you submit all and finish. The people that have found themselves in an unfortunate situation where the status of their submission is not submitted are the people that are not going through up to the end. And this is worrying. It's worrying because we've been doing this we've done this for what? For over half a dozen times now, right? So at this stage, our expectation is that you know the steps you have to follow for you to completely submit this, whatever assessment you're attempting. Do you understand? The check feature is there for you to verify it was an experimental thing. Anyway, we'll just have to check it out because clearly it's confusing people here. But it's just there to give you an opportunity to check if your solution is correct or if it's wrong. Does this answer your question, Mr. Mlenga?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, and we understand the question?
Yeah, I had a problem in not the quiz that closed on Saturday, no, the previous one.
Okay. I
submitted an answer, but at the end of it all, I literally answered all the questions. By the end, it showed that my answer, I didn't write anything on my third question. So that, despite it not happening again, it hasn't happened yet again. But how does it work? In what case?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's in quiz number what? Quiz number 8 or something?
The one we wrote before quiz number 9.
Yes,
yeah, quiz
the
number
one
8.
before quiz number 9 is quiz number 8, right? I don't know. I mean, we'd have to check your. I'm just going to unshare my screen here, try and see if we can look up. We can look up those cases. It's a bit unfortunate, but I don't think it's highly unusual here. But
and then another concern, sir.
Yep.
You said that the check option is to check if your answer is correct or not.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is that what
yes,
you said?
Yes, sir.
Now, looking at the quizzes we've had with that same check option, you usually give us the correct mark, the correct marks a day or two after the quiz, meaning the system doesn't have the correct answer. So if I were to check and it shows that my answer is wrong, wouldn't it be your fault if I changed because I checked and then I thought the answer was wrong?
No, I'm confused. Would it not, if you what?
If you say that the check option is to check if the answer is correct or not.
That check feature, thanks for that. There was an assessment. I had traveled at that time, and I see what you mean. The same assessment that Leandro is talking about, where all the answers were 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So that was just a once-off thing. It's always the case that the quizzes are pre-configured with the correct solutions. Now, in worst case scenario, like that particular quiz, and thanks for bringing this to our attention, we will revisit that if people are penalized. And what we will do is we'll change it to adaptive mode where we just mark the first attempt. But in an ideal case, what we do is we provide the correct solutions up front. Now, granted, if it turns out that the solutions that have been configured with the quiz are somehow iffy or something, what we would do is would obviously manually regrade the submissions from the students. But that was an exception. I was traveling at the time, and I was quickly trying to make sure that the quiz was available or something. And so I didn't really have enough time to provide the correct solutions. But we can always regret that, actually. We will regret that. We will regret that. I will regret quiz number 8, just so people are not penalized. It's not that hard. Just change the solution so that people are not penalized. Is that fine?
Yes, that's fine, sir.
Okay. Yes, somebody was about to ask a question.
Yes, this is me. In the quiz 9, when I clicked check, as for me, it refreshed the page instead of showing me if it was wrong or correct.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that anyway. I'll have to look into that. I don't know. I don't have an outright answer to that. I will have to look into that, see why it refreshed the page or something. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, I mean, I can reconfigure this so that we revert it back to the adaptive mode of grading, right? And by the way, in case you're wondering here, so I guess it's computer software we're talking about here, so I might as well just showcase to you exactly what I mean. So observe, right? So when this thing is being configured, oh, by the way, who's this person? Leandro, I don't know what you did with the question here. According to the records we have, you never submitted that thing. If you look at this is your response to it. We don't have to hide this. It's not like you got zeros here. But if you look at the question you're talking about here, according to our records, this is Leandro here. You never provided a solution for this question. It's blank. It's empty. Now, why you did not do this, I cannot. I don't know what happened on your end. You probably did something wrong, or you didn't do something right.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea what you did wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Clearly here, see, usually, right? Look at this. So usually what the software does, what Moodle does behind the scenes is every time you initiate an attempt, and by the way, there's a funny story, right? Students always think that they are smarter. Well, yeah, maybe you are smart, I guess, I don't know. But they always think that they can beat the system. There was an assessment. There was an assessment that was open for the 3rd years. What does this person do? It was a test, right? Was it 12 hours, 1.5 hours or something, open book test. So what does this person do? This person logs in, they start an attempt, and then they spent about almost 5-10 minutes. We could see what was happening, right? The system shows us, there's a log, there's a trail, right? There's a trail that shows us exactly what you're doing here. So if you look at Leandro here, you notice that we can see exactly what time and the date he started attempting which question he started attempting first, and the sequence of events afterwards, how long it took Leandro to answer the question. Like if you look at, I thought this was really interesting. So we can tell that Leandro took 10 minutes. Is this 10 minutes? I guess, I don't know. That's a record one. 10 minutes to answer this question here, right? Which is fine, by the way. So anyway, this person, right, in the 3rd years, they log in and they think they're smart, right? People always think they're smart. Yeah, maybe you're smart. You are, I suppose. Usual successive generations are always smarter. This person logs in and they check the questions and then they log out. Hours later, right? About 3, maybe 4 hours later, they send out an email. I have an issue. I tried to access the assessment. It wasn't available yet. I clicked on it. The next time I tried to click on it, it was telling me that no more attempts are allowed. And I tell this person, but the reason the system is telling you that is because you initially started the attempt. And you're trying to, and here's the thing, right? I'm sure you're using some of these tricks with some of these courses, right? It turns out that we are in a fortunate position where we've been studying these things, the way Moodle works, right? We understand how Moodle works. There are probably some other lecturers that don't know how this works and they'll fall for your tricks, right? When you go out there and you lie, you say, oh no, I started and I had no power, or I started and then the system logged me out, and this other character, 3rd years, I started and then my device switched off, and when I switched it back on, it told me that I didn't submit and I've run out of time, but the quiz was, the test was supposed to be open until 13. I'm telling this character, the reason you've been locked out is because you've exhausted your 1.5 minutes, 1.5 hours, right? Do not lie. Lying is bad. I know you're probably coming from a situation where lying was tolerated. You probably lied your way through university, right? But lying is bad. It's bad because sooner or later people are going to catch up with you. It might not be during your stay at UNZA, but when you go out there, they will discover that you're a liar, right? You might as well just dig in and teach yourself these things, right? So anyway, we have log trails. We can check these things. We know what's happening. So we can see for Leandro that literally nothing was, the attempt was initiated, but nothing was done here. Notice here, if you compare the number of steps associated with this question and you compare it with these other questions, you can see that there's a bit of activity. Observe the action column, right? You can see what was happening here. Leandro submitted for this question. He submitted the solution here, right? For this particular question, there's nothing happening. For this last question, we can see, right? The log trail tells us that Leandro did a couple of things here. Here, he submitted and got marks here, right? Do you understand this?
Yes, sir.
I know it can be tempting to lie. Don't lie. Every year, and this is serious, every year, and this is quite sad really, this new program, we have people that, there's a person who was excluded. They were supposed to be 3rd year. They were excluded because they were caught cheating in the final exam. You see, when you start cheating at this stage where you are fighting for 1 mark, you will develop a habit. You think, and you're not caught in all the 20 quizzes, you think that it's possible for you to cheat. You continue cheating your way through until the exam, maybe until 4th year. When you are discovered, you are excluded. Cheating, academic dishonesty is taken very serious. It's a very serious thing. If I were you, I would completely refrain from it. And by the way, it goes both ways. If you're one of those people who thinks you're smart enough, maybe you found a girlfriend or a boyfriend in the B.ICT course and you meet up and you're answering these questions together, you will be caught eventually. And it will be disastrous when you're caught, right? You don't want to do that. Please stay away from cheating. I know it can be painful to teach yourself some of these things, but you're better off going through the pain rather than the consequences that will result from cheating when you're caught. Don't do that, it's bad. Are there any other questions? I'm rushing for another class. I think just as well, it's good that we had this conversation. We've talked about a number of things here. Don't think that just because you're on this other side of the internet and you can cheat. And I know there's probably some characters amongst you who will probably find someone who knows the content much better and they'll write on your behalf. I mean, we don't know who's writing this quiz, right? Could be your cat or a dog, as they joke on the internet, right? Maybe it's your big brother or something who's writing this assessment for you. But you're digging your own grave, because very, very simply, if you develop that habit, you see, when you're going up high up the levels, right? things become slightly more complex. They'll become more complex if you don't get yourself used to what is being covered in the lower levels. Right? So if somebody is doing these things for you, it'll be difficult for you to do the more complex things. Learning is a process. There's a reason why you're spending 4 years here. The idea is by the time you get out into industry, you'd have matured enough to be able to cope with the pressures that you will find there. It's much worse than what you're experiencing right now. Well, at least that's been my experience. Anyway, I don't know about these other professions, but there's a reason why people thought long and hard about whether or not a degree should be 3 or 4 years or 5 years. There's a reason. There's a lot of thought that went into that. Somebody just didn't wake up and decide to say, this is what's going to happen. I have to rush for another class. And by the way, we're supposed to have makeup sessions. I was hoping we'd take advantage of this coming weekend, but unfortunately I have other classes this coming weekend, but we'll probably have the makeup sessions for the missed classes, the classes that we missed, I think next week. I'm concerned here that we haven't, we're supposed to have initiated the second part of the course by first week of September. We haven't, and I know because we lost a bit of time here. So I would want for us to have those makeups so that maybe we can finish this thing way before, I guess by first week of November, we should be done with the course or something. That would be good. Okay. Oh, I hope, I don't know if there's any rumor, but maybe you're coming back, right? That would be nice. Do you know if you're coming back? I don't know, but you know.
We don't.
Okay, all right. See you day after tomorrow then. Thank you, bye.
Bye, sir. Mwapia. You think you can cheat you? Who thought it was possible for him to see the solutions before? Wise. Paul.